Hey guys, welcome back to Blazed and Confused. Now I know it's been a while since I've uploaded a new video, but I have been very busy with work. But kicking off today, we've got a UFC 262 breakdown. We've also got a banger week of vids planned for you guys, so you definitely want to subscribe and not miss a video this week. I'm coming in with a boom, and there's going to be some great UFC vids, some great reviews. You know, cinemas are reopened now, so definitely look forward to more movie reviews coming in the near future. But kicking off UFC 262 on the main card, we had the return of Edson Barboza versus Shane Burgos. Now this was a great fight from beginning to end, a 3-round slugfest. You could call it. Got a fight of the night, which is well deserved. I'd say very entertaining fight, very high pace, a very bloody fight. And the first 2 rounds were very close. Edson was landing some really good spinning body kicks on there, also landed a good spinning head kick which looked like it would have put anyone else away, but because Shane Burgos is so tough, so durable, he was just able to walk Barboza down sort of throughout the fight and land some good body shots of his own. Also some good headshots on Barboza, so both guys were landing some really significant strikes on each other. Really looked like they wanted to finish the fight, and Edson Barboza was able to get the finish in the 3rd round, and the way he knocked Shane Burgos out was very weird. It was a very delayed reaction from Shane Burgos. You know, the way I look at it is it's almost like Shane Burgos' mind wanted to keep fighting and keep coming forward, but his body rejected the punch. His body was done. You know, Shane Burgos was absorbing quite a lot of deadly strikes throughout the fight. He was sort of getting wobbled throughout the fight, so it was only a matter of time before one of these guys was going to fall, and unfortunately it was Hurricane Shane Burgos. But absolutely no shame in losing to a guy like Barboza, who's been in there with the best in the world. You know, you look at Justin Gaethje and Khabib and the runs that they went on to have, so absolutely no shame in losing to a guy like Edson Barboza. You know, even the way Dana reacted to the knockout, Dana was actually up on his feet. Excuse me guys, seemed very concerned for Shane Burgos. I just had a massive bonk hit, by the way, so I do apologise for that, guys. But even the look of concern on Dana White's face just sort of shows how deadly and how scary that reaction was, because you know, in all my time of watching UFC, I've never seen a knockout like that. As I say, if you guys have, let me know in the comment section what you think was another scary knockout that you've seen. But definitely, as I say, deserves fight of the night. Incredible fight. I cannot wait to see who Edson Barboza fight next. You know, there's some great names for him. There's Giga Chikadze. There's if Zabit wants to return, there's Zabit Magomedsharipov. If Max Holloway wants to get a good name on his resume, then he's in the mix too. You know, let me know in the comment section as well if you think Edson Barboza matches up well with any of those guys, or you've got, you know, a pick in mind who you guys would like to see Edson Barboza fight next. But there's a lot of stylistically great matchups for Edson in the featherweight division. He's definitely solidified himself as a top 10 featherweight. You know, beating Shane Burgos sort of gives him that spot, so it's a great position for Barboza to be in and sort of pick his next opponent. Now, I know Giga wants to fight him. I know there's many other fighters that are sort of eyeing up Edson, as they should, because he's a very deadly striker. But moving on to the next fight, we had Katlyn Chookagian versus Vivian Araújo. Now this is a very entertaining fight, a very high-paced, high-pressure fight from beginning to end. Now, in my mind, it was a thorough domination from Katlyn Chookagian. I thought she won every round. I don't think it was anywhere near as close as to say the people like Joe Rogan or even the judges had it. A lot of the judges had it 29-28. There's one 30-27. I thought it was a 30-27 throughout the entire fight. I know you guys might disagree. Let me know in the comment section, because this was a fight that was getting a lot of heat and a lot of debate around it. But in my eyes, Katlyn Chookagian was landing the cleaner shots. Even though she didn't really land a takedown, but she was just walking Vivian down the entire fight. Vivian didn't really do much in the fight. She wasn't really landing anything too clean. Fair enough, she did get some good shots on her, but nothing too significant. I say Chookagian never looked worried, never looked in any danger, whereas Vivian was gassed by the 2nd round and didn't really do a whole lot. So, as I say, I would love to know you guys' thoughts on the fight. But, you know, a great win for Chookagian. You know, this was a big opportunity for Vivian to sort of get that number 2 spot. But, you know, Chookagian in a great position now where she can just sort of keep on picking down these, you know, young up-and-coming contenders and keep on working her way back up to the Shevchenko rematch. I do think it'll probably happen down the line, especially now with the win over Vivian. It puts her in a place where she's got the most wins in flyweight history. You know, so if she can, as I say, just keep on beating all these contenders, all these opponents that the UFC will probably try and push to get some new blood and some new contenders for Shevchenko. As I say, if she can just sort of pick them down, I think she's definitely in the near future, because she has had losses to Shevchenko as well as Andrade, so she has lost to some of the best in the world, so maybe she does lack that bit of experience in competing at that level. But I think, as I say, if she can keep on getting wins and building her resume back up, then down the line it's going to be a no-brainer to make the rematch. But yeah, as I say, incredible fight by Shevchenko, very dominant. But moving on to the next fight, we had Rogerio Bontorini versus Matt Schnell. Now this was a catchweight fight at 137 millibytes. Just reading the Wikipedia here, but I know it obviously is meant to be bantamweight. I think Bontorini did miss weight, unfortunately, but just looking at the fight, it was a very close fight. To say, I think it was a lot closer than what the judges had it. 230-27 here for Rogerio, which I think is a bit bizarre. I don't think it was a unanimous decision win for Rogerio. I think he could have gone to a split decision. I think Matt Schnell was also putting up a good fight. Had he let his hands go in the first round, then I believe he definitely would have won that fight. He just sort of had a bit of a slow start, in the fight, but had he just sort of put the pressure up early, I think he definitely could have got a win. But Bontorini was able to land some good takedowns and some good ground and pound on Matt Schnell, which I think ultimately won the fight, considering there wasn't a whole lot going on with Matt Schnell. I'd say in the second, third round he did pick up the pace a little bit, but he never really got fully going, whereas Bontorini was showing a good display of striking, a good display of grappling, so he really showed his well-roundedness, just sort of coming off that last loss over Kaikor of France. Arguably could have been winning that fight up until, unfortunately, he did get finished, but he was given a good fight to Kaikor of France. As I say, he was landing some good takedowns on him as well, so there's definitely a strong suit in Rogerio Bontorini, a very tough, very durable Brazilian fighter, so I look forward to seeing where this win puts him in the division and the kind of matchups he gets next. I do think he's a good fighter in the bantamweight division. But moving on to the next fight, we had Tony Ferguson versus Beneil Dariush. Now this is, as a huge Tony Ferguson fan, this fight was a shame to watch. I did sort of have a bet on Tony Ferguson to win, so it was a shame to see him get dominated, so badly by Beneil. The run that Tony's on right now, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. Fair enough, he's lost to 3 killers, but he's sort of been dominated. He hasn't won a round in his last 3 fights, which was unfortunate. The fight was very unexpected to me, because I thought maybe Beneil would want to stand with Tony. If there's any fighter in the division that's going to stand with Tony and give us a great bloody fight, then I thought it would have been Beneil. Say he's got some crazy knockouts over Drakkar Close, Scott Holman. He's a highlight reel kind of fighter. If you look at the finishes that he's had, then this could have been a really entertaining fight. But I think it wasn't necessarily boring, but it's just unexpected. The sort of lackluster in my eyes. Great display of grappling from Beneil. He showed it in the Ferreira fight. He was able to dominate Ferreira in the grappling, as well as now Tony Ferguson. Even at one point got Tony in an ankle lock, which looked insanely painful. I had no idea how Tony didn't tap, which just shows his Mexican grit and toughness. Tony Ferguson's as tough as they come. He's an absolute dog, but it definitely did compromise his ankle throughout the fight. He was able to put up a good sprawl, but as I say, Tony was never really able to get going. Even when they were standing, Tony didn't really land anything. Any time Beneil would come forward, Tony would sort of the problem where you didn't really have much necessary reaction. He just really didn't want to get hit. As I say, it's a shame to see Tony go down this route. I would have loved to see Tony go on one official title run. I think Tony fighting for an official lightweight belt would have been incredible. Even hopes of a Khabib match if Tony was able to rebuild himself back up, but I do think those things have sort of gone out the window. And if I look at Tony now, dude's 37, and I don't really think he's got much left to prove. I think maybe Tony should sort of reflect. I know on Instagram he wants to continue to fight, which is incredible. That's the competitive nature in all fighters. They don't want to leave that way, and I understand that, but I just don't think anyone in the division can necessarily take him too serious. He's been dominated on the feet badly by Gaethje. He's been dominated on the ground in his last 2 fights. And I think, if you look at the lightweight division, you look how competitive it is. You've got Gillespie in there, you've got Ferreira in there, you've got a lot of young fighters in there that are really looking to make a name of themselves. So I think there is no easy fight for Tony in the lightweight division. If even RDA, Tony has a win over RDA, but I do think even he is a tough fight for Tony. So I think it is a bit of a shame, but I'm excited to see where Beneil goes from this. Beneil's going to now be in the top 5. I think he's a number 3 contender right now, which is great for him. But as I say, it's a shame to see Tony go down that path, and I just don't think Tony should keep on fighting. That's just me. I would love to see him get a win, but as I say, I'd love to see Tony retire now, when he still had that bit of momentum behind him. In a sense, he was on that 12-fight winning streak, rather than go on a losing streak, where it almost sort of gets tarnished a bit. If you look at the Cerrone, Anderson Silva, even BJ Penn, even went on a 9-fight losing streak. The run that he went on, I just hope the UFC do a smart thing and just sort of not necessarily part their ways with Tony, but just sort of have that conversation where it's like, look, you've absorbed a lot of damage in your last fights, and there's a lot of tough matchups. Let's say Islam Makhachev, Paul Felder, even that's a tough fight. Drew Dober's in there, so there's nothing but tough matchups with him. Well, let's say nothing but respect for Beneil. Definitely puts him in a great position. As I say, I can't wait to see who he does fight next. But moving on to the main event, we've got Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. Now, this was an absolutely incredible fight by both guys. Absolutely no shame in Michael Chandler coming into the UFC, second fight in the UFC, and he's already fighting for a belt. In the first round, he arguably even could have finished Oliveira. He arguably could have won that first round. It was a very competitive first round. As I say, it looked like Michael Chandler was getting him out of there. He was able to land a big shot on Charles, and then into which Charles went straight for a takedown. Coming into the end of the first round, he was able to land another big shot, where Charles Oliveira just sort of, at one point, looked like he was out, but he was managed to get into full guard and show some good defense, which sort of kept the referee off his back. But as I say, great win for Oliveira coming into the second round. Kind of seemed like Michael Chandler had a bit of an adrenaline dump. I don't know if that was just me who thought that, but it kind of seemed to me like, Michael Chandler had all the momentum coming into the first round, but the second round he didn't really seem as there. He didn't seem fully there. He kind of seemed a bit tired. Whether as I say, that all that energy and pressure did get to him, I don't know, but the striking of Oliveira was absolutely incredible. It was very precise, almost like a McGregor shot. He was able to catch him in a very deadly exchange with a left hook, landed right on the chin, and had Michael Chandler backing up, had him floored. And looking back, it's kind of silly that Michael Chandler maybe didn't go for a takedown in that moment, as he was just sort of running away defenseless. But I think there's no sort of shame in not doing that, because Oliveira is very deadly on the ground. He's got the most submission wins in UFC history. Now he's got the most finishes in UFC history. I think he's also got the most performance bonus wins in history. Excuse me, guys, that bonk it. But as I say, if there's anyone more deserving of a lightweight championship belt, then you got to give it to Oliveira. Over a decade in the UFC. So I can't fault Charles Oliveira. He's definitely a tough fight in the lightweight division. I can definitely see him reigning the division for a long time and defending the belt quite a lot of times. If you look at the matchups for him, you've got the winner of McGregor versus Poirier, and I think if you look at it, if McGregor is to beat Poirier, then I just don't see McGregor taking that fight. I know a lot of you guys might disagree, but Charles Oliveira is an extremely deadly fight, guys. He is extremely high risk, especially for Conor McGregor, who, we haven't really seen too much ground game from Conor McGregor, and his striking obviously is second to none, some of the best in UFC, but even Charles' striking is very underrated, because a lot of people had him winning this fight via submission. If I were to predict, even though I did predict Michael Chandler, but if I were to think how Oliveira was going to win this fight, then I would have guessed submission. So the fact that Oliveira is still underrated is insane to me, and I think anyone in the top 5 is a very good test for Oliveira. As for who I can see beating him, I do think it's going to take someone like a Dustin Poirier or a Justin Gaethje, a big strong dude who's going to land someone really heavy on Oliveira, as Michael Chandler showed. So I think they definitely do need to do the rematch with Michael Chandler down the line, but it also puts Michael Chandler in a great position to get that epic fight with Justin Gaethje. I think that's the perfect fight to make for Michael Chandler next. Both dudes are in similar positions, both coming off title fight losses, so a great fight to make, and hopefully McGregor beats Poirier and we can get that Oliveira McGregor fight in Brazil, if McGregor is to actually take the fight. As I say, he's an extremely high risk opponent, as I said, but even the Beneil fight, my bad guys, but the Beneil fight, those guys were originally meant to fight each other last year, I believe, Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush, but I think Oliveira sustained an injury. But even that fight is very exciting. I think even a fight like Beneil presents a lot of challenges to Oliveira. But as I say, I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. Yeah, some great night fights to sort of pick in. One of the prelims that I really enjoyed watching. Now I did bet money on Andre Muniz to get a submission win over Jacare, and he was able to get a submission in the very first round via armbar, and he actually broke Jacare's arm, which is insane. The first man to ever submit Jacare, so definitely a big win for Andre Muniz, and an even bigger win for me because I was able to bank a little bit of money from that, so it's pretty awesome. As I say, I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. Definitely want to subscribe for all the content that's coming this week. I really want to make it up to you guys, and yeah, I can't wait to show you guys the videos that I've been working on. I have sort of been working YouTube slightly. I haven't forgotten about it. As I say, I have been busy, but YouTube is still one of my top priorities. I really want to progress in YouTube. I love making videos, and I love hearing you guys' feedback, and the support I get on all my videos is definitely recognised, and I do appreciate it all. But if you guys can also like the video, helps out a lot. If you want to stay connected on my social media, I'm going to be a lot more active on there now, so if you guys do want to keep up to date with my life and the videos that are coming out, then I'll leave a link to all my social media down below. But yeah guys, peace.